clear to land, wind 150 at 6.
Clear to land 16, 1 Whiskey Foxtrot.
1 Whiskey Foxtrot, say parking.
Going over to performance flight.
Roger.
Hi, I'm Jeff Van West for IFR Magazine and AvWeb. And no matter what you fly, it's important to keep current in that airplane. Sometimes a simulator is the best way to get that job done. And that's why I and 2 friends hopped in an SR22 and came down here to performance flight at White Plains Airport to get a little type-specific training. Here's Louis Liebert of Performance Flight to tell us a little bit more.
The simulator is it's a level 1 flight training device, which means that we are able to offer the 3 hours of instrument time, or half the 3 hours of instrument time for a private student, 20 hours of the 40 required for instrument training. We use it a lot for the instrument training, but we also use it a lot really focusing on systems, procedures, and emergencies. I think for most people, what we look to accomplish in the simulator is to review procedures, systems, aeronautical decision making, and I think it's an opportunity for pilots to, in some cases, be humbled, but to learn what they don't know and to see what it's really like to respond to emergencies or scenarios they don't encounter day to day. So in the everyday life of a pilot, they take off, they fly straight and level, and they land. That's it. They never encounter problems or maybe something minor. So we're trying to remind them there's a lot you have to do. People who fly with us have to go through the sim check every 6 months, where we're constantly reviewing the procedures. And part of that also forces them to reread the POH every 6 months, because you have to be fresh with your checklists in order to pass our tests.
After a short pre-flight briefing, we climbed into the simulator with Chief Pilot Nick Gregory. Didn't take us long to run into our first problem. In fact, we hadn't even left the ground.
40, 50. Oh, my volts are all off.
All right, good catch. Like I said, I kind of just want to see where your scan is, so.
Yeah.
As the training progressed, it focused more on aeronautical decision-making. Problems started small, with many reasonable choices to address them, but then things would escalate. Usually sound decision-making led to a positive outcome, but, because this training is specifically for the Cirrus, one training goal was getting things so bad that the best decision was to end the flight with an aircraft parachute deployment. Immersing a pilot into a developing situation is one of the best things a simulator can do, and it has a great opportunity for the aha moment. Here's Nick Gregory again, who incidentally is also a New York City TV meteorologist when he is not working as an instructor.
One of my favorite stories here would be a student who was traveling. I had them traveling from White Plains to New Haven. And in the process, about half of the way there, an electrical failure took place, meaning an alternator had, in this particular case, had come off the line. An alternator 1 failure, which can be a little more serious in the Cirrus. So he acknowledged the failure, but really felt, okay, what's my nearest airport? It's Bridgeport. I'm about 5 miles. I don't really need to address it. I'll just fly to Bridgeport. So he decided not to reduce the load and not to really monitor the load that was happening in the airplane. Well, the failure was something critical. It was actually the scenario was that right after takeoff, his flat motor had jammed, and the flat motor had kept running, and so now you're drawing down a lot of energy, a lot of amperage. So he contacts Bridgeport Tower in the hopes of landing. Well, unfortunately, in this scenario, Bridgeport Tower was reporting the airport was closed. So his option then, he decided, again, as we build this decision-making process, he decided, well, I'm going to continue on to my destination, New Haven. And that was fine. That was probably the nearest airport at that point. However, he still was not monitoring the electrical situation. So as we are now approaching New Haven, the weather is also starting to deteriorate a little bit. In the Cirrus, when you get below about 18 volts on the main bus, things start to shut off on you. So the transponder disappeared, the multifunction display disappeared. And it ultimately, now as those clicked off, it started to realize to him, I think I should be turning some things off here. And we ended up now also losing flaps, losing the boost pump. So this now went from what could have been not a huge issue on landing. Now he's dealing with a no flap landing, partial panel with no fuel pump, and hopefully New Haven would allow him to land.
Of course, another great thing about the simulator is the ability to stop everything and talk about it without having to land. Here's Performance Flight's Michael Siegel with a couple more tips to get the most out of your simulator time.
I think the key here is that it's easy to get overloaded by very, very minor things. The air data, while it is a major component, there is a few other instruments that are going to help you get down to the ground. Having the autopilot malfunction usually throws people off. Losing, going from 7 satellites down to 4 really throws people off. And once it spirals out of control, it's hard to recover from that. So realizing that it's minor, and the most important thing is to aviate, navigate, communicate, that's what most people need to get from this situation. The toughest thing about flying the simulator is that it's not the airplane. So people come in with this notion that they're going to walk away from the simulator alive and well, no matter what the situation is. And what they really have to do is realize that unless they use it like they would an aircraft, they're not going to get 100% from the situation within the simulator.
If you want to find out more about Performance Flight, you can check out their website at www.performanceflight.com. They're soon to replace their Avidyne simulator with a Cirrus Perspective simulator. I'm Jeff Van West for IFR Magazine and AvWeb. Thanks for watching.
150 on the heading. Ray 1 Whiskey Foxtrot, contact New York approach 124.07.
124.07.